5. Live action remake of How to Train Your Dragon 2025. The one that's everyone is saying, oh, this is how you do a live action remake, everybody. This is how you do it right. Where in my mind, this is absolutely no different to what Disney has been doing. It's just DreamWorks doing it this time. The exact same problem as every single one of those Disney live action remakes. It's pointlessly bloated and longer. Look, the original here, 1 hour 38, perfect. Absolutely perfect. I love this movie. I think this movie is really good. No, let's bloat it to 2 hours 5 minutes. Let's ruin the pacing. Let's ruin the look of the movie. Let's redesign everything except for Toothless. Chuck in a couple of Nepo babies to boot and make hundreds of millions of dollars and coincidentally promote a new theme park based on How to Train Your Dragon. Because that's what movies are for. They're for advertising theme parks, just like the Mario movie, because IP movies are all anyone cares about. So yeah, it's Universal's turn, I guess. I'm actually surprised it took this long to copy the Disney formula and start remaking their own movies, only 15 years after their own success. At least with something like Jungle Book, there's a 50-year gap, there's generations between. I was like 16 when this movie came out. I remember my cousins putting it on and seeing it and being like, huh, this is actually really good. In a number of years, they've remade it cynically and ruined so much about it. There's something conceptually about it that bugs me so deeply, this idea that it's not good enough or it's somehow improved until it's converted into this live action format. Then it's a real movie, then it's somehow more legitimate, then it's better. Even though every shot is so full of CG that it's basically animated anyway. It kind of comes down to a simple question for me where it's, when you have the option to watch these two, it's not like How to Train Your Dragon 1 is old or aged or bad looking in any way. When you have the option between these two movies where one is better in every single way, and I'm trying to be fair, I really am. I cannot think of a single thing, the 2025 version, by the same director, by the way. We don't have Chris Sanders in this one, but Dean's coming back to make the same movie again. And this ain't no funny games. Why on earth would he ever choose this movie over this one? Like, I don't get it.
I think when Universal approached me about dipping back into this story with a live action reimagining, I wanted to bring all of that, I guess, that sense of wonder and coming of age back into this. Like, I volunteered to be, I don't even like the trend of live action remakes. But
that is an amazing quote. And the positive reception, how people are loving this and going out. And I know there's a disconnect between, family movies, kids movies, people are going to go and see no matter what. But the fans of this franchise, they should demand something better. Because, making a sequel, making a fourth movie, that would be hard. You'd have to come up with a new angle, make a new story, new characters or something. Well, you know what, this is what bugs me so much about the Disney remakes too, where it's like, you're an animation company, right? You're DreamWorks. What you do is animation. I would prefer you reanimate the 2010 version, give it the flair of like one of these Puss in Boots movies. You could do something with that. But for some reason, no, you have to have real actors in there. You have to completely ruin the look and the flow of the movie. And for some reason, this idea of robbing it completely of the style and personality is what it needs. That's what the story needs. That's what the newest generation needs in terms of an adaptation of this story. Yeah, let's do a cosplay version. And that's an insult to cosplay. There's some cool cosplay out there. This is like garbage cosplay. Yeah, let's put Nick Frost in there, someone who I normally like. Let's make him Gobber. Every single addition added to this version of the movie takes something away from the pacing, the style, the personality. Even when you have the same person playing the same character, they cannot stack up to what they did in 2010. Because it's an animated movie with so much more freedom. They're so limited by these stupid costumes and the stupid sound stages and the ugliness of it. Look, I think the best way to illustrate my point is to show the first flight scene from both movies in certain ways. I'm probably gonna have to take out some of the audio here for copyright reasons, but bear with me here, right? So this is the original. Notice the contrast. The contrast and the use of color is a big one. Also, the use of wide shots, which I guess are not allowed in the new version for whatever reason. So this is one of the best scenes in the movie, one of the best uses of the score, where the audio mixing will let the score take center fold, which the new movie's scared of doing for some reason. It doesn't want the score to overtake anything else. But the framing of everything, like the combination of these characters is not distracting for a moment. And sure, you could say this is a 2010 movie, but I personally think this still looks great. Especially when it's in motion, it's a great scene, okay? There you go, look, another another cool wide shot. So you get an idea of the space, the movement of everything. Then the big moment where Hiccup falls off Toothless, and he's got to abandon the instructions, and he kind of flies off intuition, and you get the music change, you get this awesome shot with the gliding. An excellent action scene. Probably the best scene in the movie. With, at the end, a nice comedic bit. He thinks he's done it. Toothless shoots some fire, and he goes into it and gets burned. Whatever. Right, now we move on to the new version. Look at this immediately. Look at the contrast. Look at how dull the colors are. I assume to try and make the real human kind of blend with the dragon a bit more, because like unlike all the other dragons in the movie, which they completely redesigned, like Detective Pikachu, to look like these horrible, realistic monstrosities, they kept Toothless's design pretty much exactly the same, because he's so iconic, and they want to sell merch that looks exactly the same. But look at how washed out and dull everything is in comparison. And whenever there's a good shot, it's because it's just directly copying the original. So this part's interesting, the dive moment, like when they go down. It moves away from Hiccup a lot sooner because they need to shift from the real actor into the CG goo Hiccup. Yeah, it's live action, baby. Yeah, all of this is live action. This isn't just CGI goo. this is live action. They got a real dragon and they got a real human to fly it. No, it's CGI goo. The staging is worse, the colors are worse, the contrast is worse, and there are loads of moments in the movie exactly like this, where things that really pop are accentuated, or the animation is utilized to make something highlighted in a scene. Because of the restrictions of the combination of the live action to the CGI goo, a lot of that impact is utterly lost or wasted. Yeah, that's a good example there. Like, look at that. How dry and dull it is. So whenever there's any intense action, he turns into CG goo anyway. Right, so here's the equivalent scene where he falls off Toothless, right? Look, the second he leaves his back, he becomes a CGI goober. So it's basically like, why didn't you just make this an animated movie? Why? And this is the whole, like, the whole score is scored differently because this is a much longer scene. Like, he's a CGI flying goober. All the accentuation is completely different. And it's not the fact that, like, different is bad. I would be fine with them taking a different angle or accentuating different things, but it's like, improve it. It's the same director. You've already made this movie, and you kind of nailed it. You're making a worse movie with improved technology 15 years later, and you've made a considerably worse film in the end. It's crazy. Yeah, this gliding shot here. Look how muddy it is. God, I hate this fucking film. This is some terrible shit right here. So after the moment of dodging all the rocks and the hurrah moment where Hiccup puts his arms up, they get rid of the fire moment. Toothless kind of screams and... Ooh, he's looking scary in this frame. Doesn't shoot fire anymore because I guess that would be too unrealistic. So then it just cuts. Absolute trash. I put a couple of the scenes next to each other here to kind of highlight. Man, just immediately, like the way this pops in comparison, it's so stylized, and that's supposed to be the point. Like the way his hair moves still looks great to this day. But the way the camera is locked to him, to his perspective, then moves back, gives you some space. And let's compare it to this look. How muddy and like grey and washed out this looks. Nah. I just don't, it doesn't connect with me. It's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, and here's the, there's also just something more, I guess, believable, quote unquote, with the way this scene goes down when it's all animation. And these two CG elements are interacting with each other, so you're not even really questioning it for a moment. The timing of this moment here, I think, is a good example. Look at that, the Hiccup's face, and that timing of him opening his wings in time with the score gliding down, compared to the stupidly elongated scene. You don't really get the extension, that you can't even see his face. It's covered by the paper because he's like a real human being with like a fan pointed at his head. And the glide moment, like look at that. Look at the framing of this shot, the use of colors in comparison. The way they've like mirrored it for some reason. Yeah, that's funny the way they did that. It's like completely mirrored. Except, that's what I mean about the contrast. Like the character really pops against the environment, whereas here, he like blends into it. Like you can hardly tell him apart. And I guess that's just the nature of having to light and animate things to be quote unquote realistic. You got to see Toothless's taste buds on his tongue. You need to see all of it. I can't deal with it, man. So the new cast is like exactly what you'd expect for a 2025 How to Train Your Dragon. The guy who plays Hiccup is fine. I don't really blame him for a moment. I do have some blame for Nico Parker, who is the worst kind of Nepo baby in terms of, look, I know a lot of people in entertainment have famous parents. I can deal with that as long as what they bring is of quality or talent. And her mum is this woman from Norbit or Mission Impossible 2. So having her in there is just like, okay, what are you bringing? And the answer is nothing. Garbage casting. I'm getting mad. Like, I'm getting irrationally angry at this stupid film designed for children. I will say shout out to John Powell, who composed the original soundtrack. Incredible soundtrack. John Powell is extremely talented musician. He did recompose it for this film because the timing is all off and when things hit are completely different, so they can't just plug in the exact same soundtrack as before. I guess what I'm saying is that Pedro Pascal should have been Toothless, then maybe I would have liked it. You're taking 15 years, you make an uglier, worse paced and looking version of a movie we've already seen. Like I was saying that the Hiccup guy is fine, but that was one of the kind of cooler things about this movie is that Hiccup he's got such a strange voice in the 2010 version because of Jay Baruchel. Because most of the characters are Scottish, outside of the teenagers, which is one of the cooler things about this movie. It's a little bit cursed. A couple of TJ Miller being in there isn't ideal. And that is probably my biggest problem with this movie is the teen voice actors, how they have like Jonah Hill and the hyper-American stuff, when I just wish they could have all been Scottish, honestly. Hiccup's fine, because he's supposed to stand out and be unusual and not fit in. That's the point of his character. But then if we needed McLovin and TJ Miller in there. Another example of how they messed this up is what they did to the alpha dragon towards the end. This is a great character design. It's intimidating, it's freaky looking. Yeah, it might not be like anatomically correct, but it gives it an imposing presence, that's for sure. So this is what I mean about like taking the personality or character out. Like, oh yeah, so we got to make it more anatomically correct. We've got to shrink the teeth right down, and we got to make the head look realistic, like Detective Pikachu. It's like, bruh, isn't this way cooler? Sure, it's cartoonier, sillier, but it's a silly-ass premise. You kind of need the silliness to sell the whole point of the story. This sucks. And look how grey and washed out it looks. Like, it's okay for things to be animated. It's okay. Like, this looks cool to me. This has personality. This has a style. This right here could be anything. Look at how dark and grey and gloomy. This could be anything. This could be any Hollywood movie.
No, the anatomy has to be correct. The colours have to be dark and realistic, like Zack Snyder's directing, and Superman's gonna come in and sort this problem out.
I hate this film. I'm sorry, I'm being like irrationally mad right now. I'm furious about this goddamn movie. It's okay to have style. It's okay to be cartoony. It's okay for these bottom teeth to be big, intimidating, and go over the other jaw for it to have an underbite. That's fine.
No, you see, the jaw needs to be able to anatomically close correctly in order for the impact of the scene to hit in the way we want it to.
Look at this grey fucking goo mess bullshit. Fuck this film. This is how you really do a live action. Take notes, mouse. There you go. That's the message you want to send. Yeah. Yeah, you did it right, DreamWorks. Let's have a look at what Dean's up to in the future then. Let me guess. Live action How to Train Your Dragon 2. Live action How to Train Your Dragon 3. Oh, there's a surprise, 2027. How to Train Your Dragon 2, a movie we've already had, which is cool and has a style and improves upon the detail of the 2010 movie because it was 4 years later and I guess they cared about animation then. Look, I can't take it, okay? Part of this is Kung Fu Panda related, and let me explain, right? DreamWorks massacred my boy with Kung Fu Panda 4. They massacred him. Like, this ain't no 6.3. This is an embarrassing memberberry piece of trash film. An insult to the franchise. A franchise that is too good for the premise, honestly. But after Puss in Boots, even Dogman, which I reviewed recently, the maximalist, stylized stuff is really what these franchises can do with. But no, they've gone the complete opposite direction. We're got to be grey and boring, and even look at these previews here. Look at that color palette. Look at how flat it looks. And why are you making it so long? This story does not demand a 2-hour plus runtime. That is wild. It's not right. I remember a moment in the original movie when the like alpha is revealed. Yeah, I think it's here. He kind of flexes these old wings that haven't been used in a while, right? All this kind of dust and rubble falling off it. Yeah, this is a great example. Look at the equivalent shot of it flexing its wings. Like, you just can't see anything. Like, it's so like dark and gloomy. What the fuck? Look at that. That sucks. It's so much more dynamic as well with like the framing of the characters that you actually have some connection or attachment to. When the wings go up and you can see what's happening. Some like contrast with the background and like what's happening in the foreground. I don't know. You tell me if I'm being unfair to this ugly ass movie. It's an inviting direct comparisons. I don't know like what you want from me. If you're gonna remake the same movie, if you don't make it better, then what do you expect to happen? To me, this is no different to what Disney has been doing. In fact, I'm surprised they haven't started greenlighting. Oh, let's just remake Star Wars then. Like, making new ones is hard. Let's just remake them. People clearly eat it up. It's okay for things to be animated. It really is. It's okay. It's nice. It gives things personality. I'm sure someone out there could do a live action adaptation of this story with something going on, but this is not it. This is a cynical, awful film designed to keep an IP in the public eye, in children's eyes, in order to sell tickets for a theme park. It's disgusting. This is a 1 out of 10. It would be lower if not for John Powell's soundtrack. That's literally it. Insulting stuff. Fuck this film. I hate this film. 4. The Twats. The latest Roald Dahl animated adaptation that completely misunderstands the entire point of the source material and makes an abomination. An atrocious, horrendous abomination that is more about American politics and the importance of family than it is anything to do with what the original children's book was trying to say, and I'm not exaggerating. Also mix in a bunch of straight up inappropriate, borderline fetish content for children. So I grew up with this book. I always liked reading it. Especially like the art from Quentin Blake. A quote I think about now and again is this one, which is kind of what the story's about. If a person has ugly thoughts, it begins to show on the face. And when that person has ugly thoughts every day, every week, every year, the face gets uglier and uglier until it gets so ugly you can hardly bear to look at it. A person who has good thoughts cannot ever be ugly. You can have a wonky nose and a crooked mouth and a double chin and stick out teeth. But if you have good thoughts, they will shine out of your face like sunbeams and you'll always look lovely. It's not complicated. It's a children's book. It's pretty short. It's mostly about these monkeys that they have like trapped and are forced to stand on their heads. I don't know how they managed to make such a long film out of this. I don't know why the approach to adapting these Roald Dahl books often is so awful. I guess they don't lend themselves to these traditional film narratives that well. You have to be literally like a Wes Anderson to be able to pull it off and capture the spirit and the energy and be able to adapt it into a different medium in a way that doesn't feel insulting. Like, I haven't seen James and the Giant Peach in forever, but at least that was like an hour 19, probably shorter when you actually watch it. It's not an insurmountable task. It's just the crews they choose, the people they choose to adapt the story and then just shit it out onto Netflix. It's just like, what are you doing? Why have you done this? So yeah, a very, very loose adaptation of the original book. directed by this trilogy, who Phil Johnston you might know as the director of Ralph Breaks the Internet, Oscar nominated, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. This film is like atrocious too, but that's who helmed this and co-wrote it. I think the other two are first-time directors. The story is positioned that the like narrator of it are fleas in Mr. Twits' beard, kind of like that episode of South Park with the lice. Imagine that as the framing device for the film. This kid is getting a story read to him by his mama, who happens to be voiced by Emilia Clarke. A weirdly expensive cast, actually, for how kind of budget and rushed together this feels. Character actor Margot Martindale as Mrs. Twit, Johnny Vegas as Mr. Twit, Alan Tudyk in there, Natalie Portman. It's just like where they'd put these resources and the money is like so... Because it's like shit out onto Netflix, there's no way to find out how much they spent on this. I'd really like to know. Let me double check. Yeah, there's nothing obvious about how much they spent on it. Not that much, if I had to guess. Most of the film are in the same locations, like 3 locations. There's some okay like texture work, I guess, and animation in there in part, but it's mostly the art direction, the writing. I wouldn't blame the animators for this, and the animation studio that put this together actually was shut down. So, they're all gone now. If we're talking about character design, pretty disgusting to look at, and not in a way that the main characters, the Twits, the titular characters, are supposed to be kind of grotesque. But then outside of that, you have the cute little monkeys. But here, everything's just kind of ugly and gross to look at. Just a nasty looking film. Just kind of a nasty film, actually, which maybe I can talk about some of the things that I alluded to being actually inappropriate for its target audience of little babies. So this is a screenshot from the scene where the Twits lick a toad and get high, and for some reason this toad is included as a narrative device to make whoever licks it be the inverse of their personalities. So this is for a funny, hilarious scene where they lick the toad and become nice people briefly. So that's a good inclusion. When I say mean-spirited, the way they treat this character is just, it's trying to be funny and self-deprecating, but it's like, why are you meaner to this guy than the main antagonist that the story is supposed to be about? It's not complicated. The guff they fill it with. What else is here? Yeah, this is a real frame. This is from one of the many political jokes in the film, where the Twits, they're running this theme park called Twitlandia. Plug in Martin Scorsese, every film has to be like a fucking amusement park ride, and that's exemplified in this movie. They turned the Twits into this musical / amusement park ride abomination. But yeah, they run a political campaign to become mayor of the town they live in, and this guy is their political rival, who they, I guess, poison with this cake that makes his ass inflate to an enormous size and then explode, instilling all 3 kids that have seen this with a unfortunate new fetish for them. It's a nice one, guys. It's like a half-assed musical at points. There's like a song at the beginning, and then about 49 minutes later they remember, oh yeah, like this is a partial musical, I guess. There are like 3 or 4 songs, and then to my absolute bemusement, they have my legend, my idol, David Byrne, singing a song in the end credits. Like, what? How much did they spend on this? Where are they funneling all this money in the wrong place, in the wrong directions? Going back to the cast, the delivery of these lines, they're already bad lines, so you can't blame them too much. But everything is so over the top, screaming every line. It makes everyone annoying, let alone when I mention these orphan characters who are now the main characters of this story. Every time these orphans are on screen are just so like, God, so boring. When they start trying to make parallels about this idea of, man, the Twits, they've got a deep reason for why they're Twits, and we need to forgive them for that because they are orphans too. And we need to think about why people become Twits. When it's more like a fable framing in the book, it's not literal anthropomorphized monkeys dealing with these caricature evil villains. That in the book, they get revenge by doing to the Twits what the Twits did to the monkeys. This kind of creepy dark ending where they're tricked to stand on their heads. They like die. They like collapse into themselves in this kind of like body horror full circle moment, which they reference in this movie, even showing it in like excruciating detail. down to like bone-breaking sounds and disturbing visuals. But the moral of the story is the orphans gluing them to the floor is bad and not a very empathetic thing to do. So they go and free them so they can talk to the monkeys. I actually said, like, saying this out loud makes me sound fucking insane. You can only understand the monkeys if you have empathy, is a rule they establish. So they can't understand the monkeys after the twits are being tortured, which they kind of deserve because they're like evil scum. So then the orphans go and free them from their glue trap, which then results in the twits angrily just like trying to kill them again. But the orphans just kind of run away with an after credits gag, which is referenced on the poster, where they get like stuck to these balloons that fly them to an island with a giant frog, and then they get vored. They get vored to death, which is the actual conclusion of their characters. Just kill them, for fuck's sake. It's such a dark, freaky ending. And in this Resident Evil-ass world they've set up, they can't even commit to this scary framing. Of course, it wouldn't be a bad animated film without diarrhea jokes, lots of burping and gross out stuff, eating bowls of worms and then spitting the worms from one and another's mouths again and again and again, with it getting funnier each and every time. That's from the after credits stinger, where they have to show the fleas escaping the twits, because it would be, I guess, unempathetic to see the fleas get vored by the giant frog. I sound insane. Just look at this shit. I know I already showed this frame, but like, just to reiterate, look at this. Why do they let this happen? Why did they make this, let alone release this? For children. This isn't like a pearl clutchy thing, like, don't let your children watch this, for the love of God. Also, cancel your Netflix subscription if this is the shit they be releasing. Yeah, they had to make the, what are they called? Mugwumps. They made the Mugglewumps, these like Labubu's that spray glitter everywhere and squirt dibbies out their mouths that jump around and scream and are manic, and it's all crazy. Natalie Portman voices one of them. And it has to have these elaborate action scenes where like twits have a Rube Goldberg machine Wallace and Gromit bed that like flies around the house in this giant haunted mansion thing. So they can have like these chase scenes and big action spectacle, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing this? The Natalie Portman Labubu sings a song about how it's better to live in a dreamland because you're always safe in your dreams, which A, isn't true, and B, I don't know about that as a message, but I've definitely put more thought into what this film was trying to say than the actual people making it, which is kind of crazy. This is like a legendarily bad adaptation of something so simple. You've done it again, America. Keep your American politics out of my whimsical children's books, man. What the fuck? They have this stylistic thing they do where they kind of lock the camera to these intense perspective shots for these chase scenes. It's like Crank or something. This is a good shot. Probably creating another fetish for some poor kid out there. And if this shot can get worse, it is after a frog-licking joke where the guy who runs the orphanage suddenly gets a burst of confidence because it's turned him from his pathetic pushover self into a confident cheese squirter. It's nice when the Labubus teach the orphan children to say out loud that they deserve to be loved and the real meaning of family. It's all insincere, and I don't even know if kids would really like it outside of the obvious key jangly colours and movement. I don't really think this is the story to explore the dark backstory of the twits and explain why you need to have empathy towards them. And the actual way they conclude the story with these Labubus who have tears that can power the theme park. That's why they have to keep them upside down, because they cry and they can convert the tears into energy. And the script thinks it's hilarious at the end for the Emilia Clarke flea to explain that the Labubus sold their tears to a multinational corporation who then used this new source of energy to buy the orphanage or something insane. This is an insane film. So all I can really say is sorry to every child that has wound up seeing this. I think this would be a good film to use as an experimental child torture device to see how demented you can make a developing brain. This is shockingly bad. I actually couldn't believe how atrocious and boring and inappropriate it is for its target audience. This could have been like an innocent half an hour short, like that Henry Sugar thing is like 40 minutes or something. That's like perfect for these styles of stories. Because this way of adapting it is not only insulting to the source material, but just like questionable from every single angle. The message of the film is to like not hate things, because hate is easy, but like it is easy as fuck to hate this film. It's about as criminal as a film can be without breaking the law. So this was an easy half star for me. Fuck this film. Oh look, they stole my opening. They are the twats. They're not the twits, they're the twats. 3. So at number 3, I got The Strangers Chapter 2, the middle part of a trilogy that is a sequel to the 2008 The Strangers, or something. So I have the challenge of trying to remember a single thing that happens in this. Luckily, basically nothing happens, and it's a completely forgettable throwaway horror movie. There's something about these bad horror movies that really gets under my skin, really makes me mad. When there's no tension, everything is half-assed. And to be honest, the only thing I can remember is a scene of a pig, a wild pig, which kind of came out of nowhere and was kind of funny. You might say it's unfair to start with Chapter 2, even though I didn't see The Strangers Chapter 1. But it's not like I didn't like it because I couldn't follow it. It's kind of the opposite.
Does there have to be a why?
The main actress is someone from Riverdale, and I guess is herself a YouTuber. Not that I knew that before looking at Wikipedia. What is there to even say? People have a fear of invasion movies and people going into your space. I get there's something scary about that. Parasite is a better home invasion movie than whatever this was. So many horror franchises or movies rely on a Halloween costume kind of imagery to get people's butts in seats. With this, the iconic guy with a sack on his face and the creepy masks, they're wonderful for advertising. I don't understand why this needs to be a trilogy. The story definitely did not demand it or feel like it had enough to do or say to justify its existence. I mean, they're great investments if we're looking at it like monetarily. They shot this entire trilogy over 52 days in September of 2022 in Slovakia. And even though they don't make that much, they're definitely going to be happy with how much they make in the end. So well done, investors. Very smart. But good investment does make movie good not. I just wish it was a little bit funnier, but otherwise this is an easy half-star forgettable nothingness. Maybe I'll just leave it and not even watch Chapter 3. It'd be funny to have just seen the middle part. Absolute trash. 2. Mirror, mirror on the wall, which is the funniest Disney remake of them all? I didn't think they'd be able to do it, everybody. I didn't think it would be possible to make a live-action Disney remake that is somehow worse than Pinocchio. This is like such an unbelievably cursed project. I think they have accidentally, and I'm being serious, I'm not being facetious, I think Disney accidentally have stumbled into maybe one of the best horror films ever made. By complete accident. Not a single bit of intention. Through the machine, through the formula, it's been narrowed down into the scariest film. This ain't appropriate for kids. This ain't appropriate for adults. This ain't appropriate for aliens. In fact, this would be a good film to show an alien if the alien was asking, what would be the film that summarizes humanity so I can learn? You show them this, they're going to exterminate the planet. The hubris of it all. That's what really gets me. We got to tarnish our legacy. Systematically. We are not far off the 100-year anniversary of the original Snow White, a film I have seen a long time ago. It's very much a product of its time, feels like a Disney movie from the 30s. But, it's got that beautiful animation. It was a big deal at the time. But, it's a film from the 30s, so if you want it to be fair, there probably are ways you could change the story or modernize it or do something with it like Disney have done time and time again. The way this film was kind of scooped up into the culture war zone is extremely lame. It's all about Rachel Ziegler, who is fine in the movie, she's got a good voice. But every single one of these live-action remakes has the exact same problem. They look awful. They look so bad, but this is what doesn't make sense, right? $250 million budget. $250 million, more money than any one of us will ever see in our lifetimes. In generations, was pumped into this somehow. I don't know where that money has gone. Into the dwarves? Into these cute CG animals? I don't know. But not one single angle, not one aspect of this film works. Like, it's kind of boring and nothing, and like all these other Disney remakes, for the most part, up until we get to the dwarves. That's when it just goes next level. You got the comedy value of Gal Gadot trying to be a villain. Her performance is like, you think she's been bad before. This is awesome. This is one of the funniest performances I've seen in a while. Not intentionally. In fact, this very poster here is quite a good visual metaphor for the entire movie, which I guess is what a good poster is supposed to do. Just kind of summarize the movie, give it an atmosphere or a vibe, but it's all there in Gal Gadot's expressionless, stiff face. I say expressionless, but there's a hint of contempt. The contempt for the audience. Yeah, we know you're going to come see this. Who cares? We don't need to try. Mark Webb directed this. huh? So after I finished watching it and saw Mark Webb credited as the director, it's just another layer of humor, another laugh for me. It's like, wow, his career trajectory is wild. Directs a bunch of music videos for bands like MCR. Releases the, I'd say pretty loved 500 Days of Summer. I remember liking it, but I would have seen it around 2010. Episode of The Office. Then we get to the Spider-Man stuff. He's gone to the big leagues, swallowed by the studio system. Bunch of TV, bunch of random stuff. And then we get to Snow White. I guess it's just a paycheck movie. There's nothing. Oh, what's a better way I can say it? There's no voice behind this movie. Well, the voice is just zoom in here. Yeah, that's the voice. That's the only voice you're seeing is the mega corporation. Why do all these live action remakes do the same thing where they make them so long? They just add shit. They just be adding the dumbest, most meaningless filler shite. It's like, if you have any issues with the 30s Snow White, it's certainly not that runtime. In fact, for a movie with this kind of subject matter, this is the perfect runtime. Look at this, Mulan, 1 hour 27, perfect. What's the adaptation? 2 hours. Beauty and the Beast, 1991, 1 hour 24 minutes, mwah, perfect. The remake, 2 hours 10 minutes long, oh my god. They made Dumbo 2 hours long, and Snow White ain't far off it, 1 hour 49 minutes. There is not enough going on to justify that. Man, the more I'm looking, the more I'm opening my eyes and talking about this, the crazier this becomes. Like, this frame here of the titular character, look how bad that background is, how she's just like photoshopped like a YouTube thumbnail in front of it. This isn't really, you don't even really need to talk about the plot. Everyone knows what happens in Snow White. There's like nothing. There's nothing. She has cute little moments with these scary animals. Everything's supposed to be cute and whimsical, but winds up being, as I got at earlier, one of the best horror movies ever made. The art direction, the production design is so fundamentally wrong. I don't know, this is art we're talking about, quote unquote. I'm sure there's some granny out there who saw this and fell in love with these whimsical, lovely characters. She fell in love with every single individual paw being rendered in 3D for her. She was in love with the corny, fake-ass looking garbage you were seeing before you. I was straight up having conniptions when the first Dwarves song started playing. It's not even Uncanny Valley anymore. It's like, we need a new term for whatever this movie decided to do. Even like the main costume looks like a Halloween costume and like a cheap one. Don't you just love that you can tell through the detailed CG animation? The translucency of Dopey's ears indicates that yes, he does have blood. Dopey has blood, everybody. I love it. The formula is so spent. There's just, yo, look at that. And this guy here, I don't even know which one it's supposed to be. Hang on, let me get my lore page up. I guess that's Happy? Yeah, that would make sense, because he's always... Wait, maybe? That's not right. That is just... It's sickening. Morning Dopey be like... Okay, that goes hard. I'll give this one... This one goes hard AF. Okay, it's winning me over with the cuteness scale. Maybe I should take back some... Jeez. What is this? What is this? Dude. I want to hunt these guys down. I'm not a violent person, but look at this. It needs to be stopped. With films like this, at a certain point, it's like, what can you even critique? They all have the exact same problems. They're bloated, usually miss the point of the original film that they're adapting in some way. Add all these songs or make already existing songs bloated or somehow sound worse. They are so cynical and dull and evil. They are evil. They are more evil than Gal Gadot's witch woman. And you know what they feel? They feel like if you went to the budget aisle that was like selling pastiches of things past, like, look, this is a chocolate bar of that chocolate bar you remember and love, right? But somehow it's more expensive than the old chocolate bar and tastes like actual dog shit. Thank you, Disney. Another Pooh Bar. Yummy Pooh Bar. Disney presents Pooh Bars. So yeah, a great comedy, a great horror film is amazing at being what it's trying not to be. I've been rambling on about this. This gets the lowest score possible. But luckily, you know what? It seems like the tides are turning. Lilo and Stitch came out. Yeah, not doing the highest with the reviews and a pretty bad Metascore. Oh wait, hold on. It's made $1 billion. So any money Snow White has lost is already... it's already been made back and then some. Ah, well, at least we got this cute guy. One. You know I had to do it. Number one is obviously a Minecraft movie, the worst film of 2025 for so many reasons. I don't even know where to begin. When I went to see this at the cinema, and before the film started, I was seeing trailers for a How to Train Your Dragon remake, a Lilo and Stitch live-action remake, the latest Jurassic Park bullshits, and just contrasting with the type of stuff that cinema was introducing to me when I would have been around the target audience for what this piece of shit is aimed at. We are talking the original Lilo and Stitch, the original How to Train Your Dragons, the Christopher Columbus Harry Potter movies, Finding Nemo, Shrek 2, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and the cream of the crop, Lord of the Rings. I was spoiled. What do these poor kids get? An apathetic, ironic meme movie that doesn't even do a good job capturing what the IP is all about. That in its base core concept is so liberating and freeing from a storytelling perspective, you could do anything with it. It is Lego, but digital. It's digital Lego. The Lego movie is another obvious contrast with how that movie looked like a cynical IP slop movie, but through the direction and the writing and the set pieces and the animation style, were able to justify its existence, and not only justify its existence, but make a great, fantastic movie out of it that kids and adults could enjoy. And that's part of what is so frustrating about this. You could easily, if you gave a shit, construct a fun adventure film that has likable characters and is set in the world of Minecraft. It is not reinventing the wheel. It's a simple idea, simple concept. And in the most insincere way possible, they try and have this, oh, the creativity is at the heart of this. And isn't this just about the expression and the wondrous, endless imagination of a child and what can come out of that when given the tools? No. It wants the best of both worlds. It wants to be an ironic, apathetic, cynical meme movie, but also have heart. Sold on the back of Jack Black saying every line in the exact same way, with then Jason Momoa competing with Jack Black to see who can be the best Jack Black, with every beat of the story being the most cliche, obvious, predictable, unsurprising, grey goo that no one cared about. And speaking of Lord of the Rings and its connection to New Zealand, there is a lot of New Zealand talent in this movie for some reason, with a lot of it being shot there, the main villain being voiced by a Kiwi, the Flight of the Conchords duo in there. And while you have the notoriously beautiful landscape of New Zealand, theoretically in the background somewhere, the reality of the movie is that it was shot in a green room, with the creative voice of the movie taking more inspiration from the hideous Detective Pikachu than anything of consequence or relevance. A needless amount of disgusting detail packed into every character design and creature that inherently contradicts the simple/cute nature of their designs. The wolves in this movie that in the game are really cute are scary monstrosities that make me want to vomit in my mouth. With this contrast of the human actors against this fake-ass, green screen, weightless, grey goo slop, instead of making this an animated movie, but then you can't have Jack Black's face everywhere. This is without even mentioning the embarrassing way audiences responded with trashing theaters, disrespecting all the people that work there, with one of my local theaters even having to put up a warning sign that has been up ever since, with the weight leaning far more towards recognizable TikTok clip moments than anything to do with a story or a character or something that films are supposed to be good at indulging in. I love that the success of this film encourages every other studio to do the Minecraft movie again. Sorry, a Minecraft movie. What IP do we own? Let's flick through the Rolodex and just squirt something out. We don't need to care. That is what they learned from the success, is that they don't need to care. And frankly, and I know this is like a tired critique when talking about movies, but it is proof that I think larger general audiences are going to fully embrace artless, what might as well be AI generated films based on things they recognize. This isn't like a Morbius where the ironic enjoyment is in part mocking the studio for thinking that this was somehow ever a good idea and that it would make money. Here we rewarded two of the biggest megacorps in the world, Microsoft and WB, and reinforced this idea that please don't try. The less you try, the more we will reward you and meme it. This is a radicalizing dystopian experience of a movie that we haven't even seen the long-term impact on the studios yet. We've only just scratched the surface of the level of shite we're about to see because of the success of this. Those of us that know Minecraft, that have actually played it and know what it's about, know that there is something melancholy, there is something deep and cerebral and kind of tense or scary, which a good writer/director could utilize if that was even something on the list of priorities for this film, which it obviously wasn't. Instead, we have Chicken Jockey and General Chungus talking about unaliving. It is a brain rot film that looks unironically like a Smosh video from 2012. And they spent $150 million on this. How? Where did that money go? I call bullshit. When adjusted for inflation, the original Jurassic Park, the defining special effects movie that still looks better than most Hollywood films today, was made for $140 million. When Spider-Verse and the Lego movie have extremely modest budgets in comparison to what they achieved, combined with their cultural impact. And this one hurts, man. The original Fellowship of the Ring, adjusted for inflation, is about $170 million. There is no excuse for it to be this fucking hideous. And I know you might be saying, oh, it's for kids, it doesn't matter, why can't you just have fun? Go ahead and brain rot your kids' minds, I don't care. But stories are important. They can teach you things. They can teach everyone things. It doesn't matter if you're a kid or an adult. A good story is a good story. And fuck you and fuck me for supporting this, going out and seeing it. Because while the audience are humiliating themselves, bringing chickens into theaters, the CEOs at WB and Microsoft, they're clapping. They're sipping on bottles of champagne more expensive than your entire family's net worth and reveling in the fact that they got away with it. This is anti-art. This is utterly insulting and is an embarrassing stain on the year 2025. And out of every film that has ever been released, as of recording, this stands at the 71st most successful film of all time. For shame. For fucking shame. I hate this movie. I hate everything it stands for. You have seen the movie by watching the trailer. The easiest half star I've given a film. I would give it lower if I could. Fuck this piece of shit film, baby. Now I'm gonna go back to hanging out with the Herobrine. What?
Chicken jockey!